work for. Might be okay for elephants and monkeys, but not for me, or you, or anybody else. Got myself a grapefruit bubbly. So, I love shelling peanuts. I could stay for hours and just do this. So basically, what I'm talking about is wages and earnings. I've never believed that people should work for nothing unless that's their choice. If volunteer is fine. If you want to volunteer, that's wonderful. I admire people who volunteer, but if you're on the workforce, you're trying to make a living. I believe everybody should be paid a decent wage. Now, there's kind of a gray area there because, first of all, how do you decide, what a person is worth? Well, that's really kind of tough because you have some people who work very hard for very little money. Some people work very hard for a whole lot of money. More money than they'll ever need. So let's start with the minimum wage. A lot of people around here, they complain a lot about the minimum wage not being a livable wage. I agree. I'm sure it's not. I've worked for minimum wage more than once. Now, I haven't had a lot of jobs because the last job I was there for 36 years, but I've had quite a few jobs. Some people have had all kinds of jobs, but last job I was there for 36 years, so I did have quite a few jobs before that. Now, minimum wage was never meant to be a living wage. It was introduced years ago because there had to be a basic wage that people would be paid. As an example, let's say some guy named John hires somebody to work for him, and he pays that person $6 an hour. Then, for whatever reason, he lays that person off. So that person comes to me and I say, okay, I'll hire you. You can do the same work, same hours, but for only $4 an hour. Now that person, out of desperation, may just take that money, So that's how the minimum wage was introduced, was to make sure that there was a basic wage that employers had to pay. Now, there's a lot of corporations around here. There's a big corporation in Canada. It's a big food business, a big restaurant type thing. Won't mention any names, but the CEO and the bigwigs, board members, and a lot of these people, maybe not the board members, but the people that run the place out, the higher ups in the management level, they make huge money, a staggering amount of money. The CEO makes all kinds of money, millions of dollars, severance packages and this kind of thing. It's just astounding. As for the wage, the workers work for minimum wage. I think what I really believe in more than anything is a livable wage. It's pretty hard to live on the minimum wage in this country, especially in British Columbia. Like I said, I've worked for minimum wage and it's a struggle. You're always pouring from Peter to pay Paul, It's always a real struggle. Now, the challenge comes when, for instance, let's say you have a small business, a little mom and pop grocery store or something. It's pretty hard for them to pay anything beyond minimum wage because they're probably just struggling themselves to get by. And I know for a fact my parents used to own a corner store. And it's very challenging. You have have a lot of overhead, a lot of bills, you know, and especially if you're dealing in produce and stuff, you know, you have to keep turning that over. So it's tough. Try not to make too much noise here. So, you know, it really is kind of tough, but, you know, another thing that really gets me is, you know, like taxes. I just get taxed on everything, you know, even my pension is taxed, you know, it's just taxed and taxed. You know, you get taxed on your money earned, you know, you get taxed on something you buy, and if you get any kind of capital gains from one reason or another, you're taxed on that, and just, it's just ridiculous how much people are taxed. And it's pretty tough to make a living when you're working for peanuts. Now, having said that, a lot of times, the more money people make, the more they spend. My mom always said that. The more you make, the more you spend. I guess to some degree that could be true, you know. But, you know, it depends on the individual. Now, I know one thing that really irks me is there was another big corporation in Canada that's been here for like 100 years or so. Big store. And the, you know, whoever's running it, you know, the board members, whoever ran that company into the ground, they failed to get on board. They still relied on their old school methods of selling, like their old catalogs, and they were not online. By the time they got online, it was too late, you know. Pretty hard to compete with Amazon and companies like that if you're not in the game. So this company, after being around for, like I said, about 100 years, I mean, it was a mainstay of this country. It had catalogs all the time, Christmas catalog. After all those years, that company went under. All the big wigs in that company gave themselves not only a severance package and above and beyond all their extremely, you know, 6 and 7 digit income wages, they all got bonuses for doing a good job. Now, how somebody gets a bonus after running a company into the ground is beyond me. But what was worse than that, in my view, what was worse was all the workers who had been so dedicated work for, you know, very little money. They lost their pensions. They lost everything. That really sucks. You know, like I said, a lot of the people that ran the company, or ran it into the ground, I should say, all retired comfortably. Stuff like that really gets me. I remember years ago there was a company, and we're going back about maybe 30 some years. It was a big company. I won't say where, I won't name the company. And they were getting ready to lay off. No, pardon me, they were struggling, really struggling. They didn't know what to do, so they brought in this guy who was supposedly very good at coming in, straightening things out. This guy comes in, lays off a whole bunch of people, and he gets the company up and running and that sort of thing too. But his fee was $200 million, which is staggering. Like, are you kidding me? saves his company from bankruptcy and charges $200 million. But in the process, laid off a lot of people. If he wanted to cut costs, he could have done it for a lot less money than that. Saved a lot of jobs. Yeah, I know, working for a decent wage is one thing. I also believe in equality. If you're doing the same job, you should get the same job, the same wage as the next person. Whether you're a man or a woman, whatever. No, I think more experience, more value to the company, that sort of thing. Nothing wrong with getting more money for that, or bonuses, incentives, that sort of thing. I totally believe in that. Because let's face it, some people are very dedicated to their jobs, some not so much. Now, what I found very frustrating was I worked in the union. I worked in 2 different unions, so I'm an ex-union man. I've never made a secret about that. I've always supported unions, but it used to frustrate me when I would come in and me and a lot of other people would really bust our butts, Then you got a few people who would spend their day doing very little, looking at their phones, going out for a smoke, coming back, doing even less. They got the same wages, same benefits, same everything as we did. And they were always phoning in sick. Not a lot, like I said, just, there's just always a small percentage that gets away with it. That's very frustrating. Hope this isn't too noisy. These peanuts are very dry. I love eating peanuts. I love shucking them. Gotta put my glasses on for a second here. Thought I saw some water on the floor there, but just a reflection. Wouldn't be the first time I slopped something. I didn't realize it till a day later. Got some more flowers over here. Can't believe what beautiful weather is lately. Wow. Making a bit of a mess of my towel here. Oops. So when you eat peanuts, do you eat that little paper in there? That little brown paper. I always do. Now another thing is tipping. Oops, almost lost that one. Like I said, a lot of companies, they pay their workers nothing. So the workers rely on tips. It's not just the workers, it's the company itself. They're counting on people who patronize their business not to tip, or to tip, so that they can pay their workers less. Now, I consider myself a fair tipper. I almost always tip. The only time I won't tip is if the service was terrible for one reason or another, And a lot of times, if you go to a restaurant and something goes wrong, you can't always blame the server, Could be a lot of reasons. And sometimes you're busy, and I get that. I was in the food service business for 40 years. I totally get it. But I think we can all recognize when people are trying and when they're not. So I rarely do not tip. I tip more than I don't. But where I don't tip, typically, is in a place where I have to go in there and stand in line, stand the whole time, waiting for my order. Let's say I go into Subway or McDonald's, Burger King. I generally don't tip in those places because I walked in there, stood there, they brought me my food and I walked out. Same with the drive-thru. When I go through the drive-thru, I don't tip at the drive-thru. Never. The most I do is roll down my window. Now when I go to a restaurant, it's a different story. If it's a sit-down restaurant, they'll take you to your table, seat you, give you menus to come back, bring you your water, come back, bring you your beverages, come back, take your order, come back, need more coffee, cream, sugar, more water, your food arrives, They go back and forth, they wait on you. And to me that is definitely worth it, especially if the service is good and courteous and whatever. It's a lot of running back and forth. Like I said, I have tipped at some places. They'll have like a tip jar. But I've only tipped when they've gone kind of above and beyond. When they say, well, we don't have this, but I can get you that, or we don't normally do this, but I'll do this for you, or, or something like that, or whatever. Like I said, I never tip. Going through the drive-thru at a McDonald's or something. I've never tipped at McDonald's anyway, but the bottom line, I think people should be paid fairly. But it just astounds me the amount of money some people make. And I it's a free world, it's free enterprise. If you can make millions of dollars, all the power to you. It's just hard to justify how some people can make so much money for not really working that hard necessarily. Now, in some cases they work very hard, but a lot of people work hard. And what some people make in one evening is more than what some people make in a lifetime. But, the world just isn't fair, and it's never going to be fair. So we have to accept that. Life is not fair, my friends. I do it at my age, I care about money less and less because I'm just happy to wake up on the right side of the dirt, you know. And as you get older, things like that are no longer important. I mean, you want to make sure you got enough to live on, of course, but you know, when you get to be my age, you're more concerned about, you know, your health and stuff like that. And, you know, kids and grandkids and family, they're far more important. Sure, it's nice to have money, but in all honesty, I'm not sure what I would spend it on anymore. There was a time I had a list a mile long. If anything, I'd probably donate a lot to charity because I do that anyways. You know, I think we're all kind of like that. We all kind of round off, you know. Or, you know, we get to the cashier. Do you want to donate $1 to the Children's Hospital or to the SPCA? You know, I think most of us are kind of like that. You know, we give to charity when we can, what we can afford. But aside from maybe a few travel trips here and there, there's not much I can think about what I'd spend my money on, really. Probably just give it to my kids. Your health is your wealth, my friends. May not seem like it, but it is. I went to the dentist this morning, just for a cleaning. Just had to have a cleaning. My teeth are all good. Well, they did a checkup, like they cleaning and a checkup, but there was no dental work or nothing. Everything's good. I'm always happy about that. I don't mind the dentist. I made a video about going to the dentist. I actually enjoy it. I find it relaxing. I just don't like to spend an hour sitting in the chair on a beautiful, gorgeous day like today. Now you're saying, if that's the case, why am I sitting here talking to you? Well, because I love you people, and I love making videos, and you're a big part of my life. You're a big part of what I do. I enjoy this. The whole time I was in the dentist chair, I was thinking about this video. I got a couple of epic stories coming up. Not recorded yet, but I've totally putting everything together. I make these little storyboard type things, so I hopefully won't forget anything. There used to be a restaurant in town. Well, actually, there still is. It's still here. There's a restaurant in town. Basically, a chicken and rib joint, pork, beef, you know, meat, big, a lot of meat. When they first opened, when they sat you at your table, they give you a little thing of peanuts just like this. And you're encouraged to just, you know, throw the shells on the floor. And it was like that for the first couple of years, and I guess they discovered that there was people with peanut allergies and stuff like that, so they had to stop doing it. But it was kind of cool. find any that are too noisy to crack. So it might be kind of hard. Here's a nice one. One of my neighbors, she's in her early 70s, she just retired. And she sent away for her very first passport. She never had a passport before. So she's totally excited, so she was picking my brain on how to apply for one, and yeah, that sort of thing. It's very exciting. Yeah, I don't know about how you can pay people more money, because, like I said, I believe in living wages, I really do, but then it's hard for a small business to pay, a living wage, I think. Like I said, because in many cases they're struggling themselves. These are so good. I like buying the ones where you buy them, they're already salted in the shell. Those ones are good. I've had those before, they're really tasty. That one's kind of tough. I don't want to be making too much noise. This Yeti is so sensitive. Oh, you bugger, you. Did you see your motorcycle go by? Now, you're probably wondering about all these flowers. The condo I record my videos in. A lot of times at the end of the month, middle of the month, people move in and out, and they just leave lots of things behind. That's where all these flowers have come from. You know what they say, one man's treasure, or one man's junk is another man's treasure. Nobody knows that more than my mom. Wow. She has a lot of stuff. A lot of junk, but I don't dare call it junk. She gets pretty irate if I call it junk. Or trinkets or anything like that. Okay, come here, you stubborn bugger. There we are. Well, this is like a meal. It really is. come. He's coming to her place tomorrow. So I'll meet with him. I got about 6 or 7 estimates for her. And this guy checks out with the Better Business Bureau. His price is pretty good. We've texted back and forth, email, phone, but haven't actually met in person, so I'll meet him tomorrow. I'll make Mom a lot more comfortable. You know, because she doesn't like it. She can't deal with stuff on her own anymore. She can't hear very well, can't see. And somebody her age, she doesn't really have the confidence she used to deal with stuff like that. So that's why I do it. Should be 98 this month. That was a stubborn one. There you go. Oops. Some of these are kind of dry. Oh, they make me thirsty. Well, that's all the peanuts I'm going to eat. Well, holy smokes. There it is, my friends. Working for peanuts. I hope you're not working for peanuts. You deserve better. Anyways, you look after yourselves, look after each other. You want to shout out, hit me up. Keep your comments coming. I read them all. And I always respond to all of them if I can. So far, I'm doing good. So you look after yourselves and take care, and we'll see you next time, okay? Bye now.